My name is Dr. Arthur Hartman. I am 63 years old. I have spent my entire medical career treating older folks for things they thought were just a normal part of getting older. And I spent decades not knowing something that changed everything when I finally found out. I used to tell my patients to just live with their pain. I was wrong. Let me tell you what happened. If your feet tingle at night when you lie in bed, I need you to listen to me. If your hands feel strangely numb for no obvious reason, or if you feel a burning, stabbing, electric pain that no doctor seems able to explain to you, stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I am about to share with you may finally explain exactly why your nerves are suffering so badly. And more importantly, I am going to tell you how to stop the damage before it becomes completely permanent. You see, this is not about just managing your daily pain with stronger pills. This is about actively protecting your nerves while you still can. Let me make you a very clear promise right now. By the end of this video, you will understand the single worst poison that is attacking seniors' nerves today. It is a poison most people are exposed to every single day without even realizing it. And you will know exactly what puts you at risk and what needs to change. Not someday, right now. I have spent decades sitting in small clinic rooms treating seniors with terrible nerve pain. They come to me with numb, burning feet. They come to me terrified because they are losing their physical balance. They come to me with something many other doctors have coldly told them they must just live with: neuropathy. And honestly, one of the most frustrating things I see in my profession is how often people are told the completely wrong story about why their nerves are failing them. They are told it is just their age. They are told it is just genetics. They are told it is completely inevitable. I used to say those things myself. In many cases, none of that is true. So now I want to ask you one clear question. I need you to think about this. Have you personally experienced tingling, numbness, or burning in your hands or feet? And did you realize that your blood sugar could be severely damaging your nerves, even if you do not have full-blown diabetes? Please write your honest answer in the comment section below. Awareness is our absolute first line of defense, because once nerve damage crosses a certain invisible line, we do not get second chances. Let me tell you about a patient of mine named Frank. Frank was 68 years old. He had recently retired and was still very active in his yard, but his feet burned terribly at night. His toes felt totally numb during the day. Sometimes he felt sharp, violent electric pains that shot right up through his legs without any warning at all. His previous doctor told him it was probably just aging. Maybe it was poor circulation. Maybe it was just one of those things you get when you get older. But when I dug deeper into his life, we found something else entirely. A daily exposure, something he thought was completely healthy and harmless, was slowly poisoning his fragile nerves. When we finally removed it from his life, the damage did not reverse overnight. I won't lie to you about that. But it stopped getting worse, and that simple fact changed everything for him. Here is what I want you to hold on to right now. What was that poison? And how many seniors out there are unknowingly feeding it to themselves every single day? To answer that, you need to understand something fundamental about how your nerves actually work. Nerves are living tissue. They are not just dead electrical wires. They are delicate, living structures that completely rely on oxygen, rich nutrients, and a highly stable internal chemistry just to function. Unlike your skin or your muscles, nerves heal incredibly slowly. That means the physical damage accumulates very quietly over a long period of time. Long before you ever feel the first hint of pain, tingling, or numbness, your nerves may already be under a massive attack. Now here is where things start to get uncomfortable. The absolute worst poison devouring seniors' nerves is not something dramatic like harsh industrial chemicals or rare environmental toxins. It is not even alcohol by itself. The worst poison is something far more common. It is something many seniors are actively encouraged to consume regularly by their own families. The worst poison destroying your nerves is chronic blood sugar toxicity, and this is critical for you to understand. I didn't know it at the time, but you do not need to have diagnosed diabetes for blood sugar to destroy your nerves. You only need repeated, daily spikes. And millions of seniors experience those sharp spikes every single day without ever knowing it. When your blood sugar rises too high, the sugar molecules physically attach themselves to your delicate nerve fibers and the tiny microscopic blood vessels that feed them. This creates severe inflammation. It creates oxidative stress. It completely damages the protective fatty coating wrapped around your nerves. Over time, your nerves lose their ability to send clean, clear signals to your brain. That is exactly when the tingling starts. Then comes the numbness, then the deep burning, then the sharp pain, and finally the terrifying loss of physical balance. One of the biggest, most dangerous myths in senior health is that neuropathy just suddenly shows up one morning. It doesn't. It develops silently, often for years and years, while the sugar poison keeps working in the dark background of your body. Let me ask you something important. Have you ever been told by a doctor that you are borderline diabetic or pre-diabetic? Or were you told your blood sugar is a little high but not too bad? I used to say that to patients. That is exactly where nerve damage begins. In fact, clinical studies now clearly show that pre-diabetes causes nerve damage almost as often as full-blown diabetes does. The terrifying difference is that most people with pre-diabetes have absolutely no idea they even have it. Now I want to pause here for a second. This is where many people look at me in my clinic and say, "But Dr. Hartman, I eat healthy. I do everything right." Most of my patients truly believe that. And that is exactly the problem. The poison is not obvious. It hides quietly inside foods and daily habits that sound completely healthy on the surface. Let me walk you through exactly how this poison works, step by step inside your body. You eat something that spikes your blood sugar quickly. Your body immediately releases insulin to try and push that heavy sugar into your cells. Over time, your cells become tired and resistant to that insulin. The sugar gets locked out and stays floating in your bloodstream much longer than it should. Your nerves, especially the very long nerves traveling all the way down into your feet and hands, are forced to be exposed to these toxic sugar levels again and again. The tiny, fragile blood vessels that feed those long nerves become badly damaged by the sugar. Oxygen delivery drops sharply. The nerves begin to slowly starve to death. And because this starving process happens so gradually, people never connect the dots. They sit in my office and say things like, "It just came out of nowhere, Doc," when in reality, the damage has been building up for a decade. Here is something else to think about. If blood sugar toxicity is so incredibly damaging, why don't all seniors with high sugar get severe neuropathy? The clear answer is exposure frequency, duration, and individual nerve resilience. Some people's nerves simply tolerate the abuse much longer than others. But once that physical damage crosses a certain threshold inside you, the symptoms appear rapidly, and they very often accelerate quickly. Now, let's talk about exactly where this poison comes from in your daily life. The first major source is liquid sugar. Fruit juice, sweetened coffee drinks, sports drinks, even so-called healthy morning smoothies. Liquid sugar enters your bloodstream extremely fast because there is absolutely no natural fiber to slow it down. That creates sharp, violent sugar spikes that directly harm your nerve tissue. Seniors are very often told by well-meaning people that juice is easy, liquid nutrition. In reality, it is one of the absolute fastest ways to poison your nerves. The second major source is refined carbohydrates eaten entirely alone. Bread, breakfast cereal, saltine crackers, white rice, pasta. This is especially true when they are eaten without any protein or fat to anchor them. These foods break down into pure sugar very quickly in your stomach. Seniors are often advised to eat these easy-to-digest foods when their stomachs are upset. But easy digestion often means rapid sugar release. That heavy sugar has nowhere else to go except straight into your bloodstream and directly onto your nerve tissue. The third source is constant daily snacking. When your insulin stays elevated all day long because you are constantly eating small amounts, your nerves never get a break. There is absolutely no recovery window for them to heal. This is exactly why grazing all day is especially harmful for nerve health. Your nerves need highly stable conditions to survive. Constant sugar exposure keeps them permanently inflamed. Now, here is a piece of the puzzle most people never hear about. Some daily medications can quietly worsen your nerve damage by severely interfering with your nutrient absorption, especially your B vitamins. Certain strong acid-blocking medications for heartburn, diabetes drugs like metformin, and some cholesterol medications can completely deplete your vitamin B12 over time. B12 is absolutely essential for maintaining the protective myelin coating around your nerves. Without enough B12, your nerves become totally fragile. They misfire constantly. Let me tell you about Susan. She sat in my clinic crying. She had numb, heavy feet for years. Her previous doctors just blamed her aging body. When we finally tested her actual nutrient levels, she was severely deficient in vitamin B12. The cause wasn't her healthy diet. It was a stomach medication she had taken faithfully every single day for years. Once we corrected the B12 deficiency, her nerve damage stopped progressing. It did not magically reverse, but it stopped getting worse. And that simple fact made all the difference in her life. Neuropathy is rarely caused by just one thing alone. It is usually a messy combination of blood sugar toxicity, chronic inflammation, severe nutrient depletion, and poor blood circulation. But the blood sugar toxicity is the main accelerant. It is the gasoline poured right on the fire. This matters deeply because your nerves have a tipping point. Early damage may just cause a little tingling or slight numbness. Later damage causes severe pain, terrible balance problems, dangerous falls, and the total loss of your daily independence. Once your nerves actually die, they are extremely difficult to ever regenerate. That is exactly why stopping the poison early is so incredibly critical. Here is the part I really want you to hear clearly today. Neuropathy is not always completely reversible. I won't lie to you. But in many cases, it is entirely preventable from getting any worse. And that action alone can preserve your quality of life. Which brings us to the most important question. If chronic blood sugar toxicity is the poison quietly devouring your nerves, what neutralizes it? What actively protects your nerve tissue? And what can you realistically do today? Not as a medical professional, not as a marathon runner, but as a normal senior who just wants less pain, better physical balance, and a future with much more independence. This is where many of my patients expect very complicated answers. They expect me to hand them extreme diets, expensive medical treatments, or promise them miracle supplements. The honest truth is far simpler, and that is exactly why it is so often overlooked. The absolute first and most important step in protecting your delicate nerves is stabilizing your blood sugar. I am not talking about aggressively lowering it to zero. I am not talking about chasing perfect numbers on a machine. I am talking about keeping it steady. Your nerves do not need perfection. They desperately need consistency. Every single sharp spike in your blood sugar is exactly like a small chemical burn to your nerve tissue. Fewer spikes mean less physical damage. That action alone can slow or even halt the progression of your pain. Here is the single most important dietary rule I teach my seniors with neuropathy, and it is one most people have genuinely never heard. Never eat carbohydrates alone. Not a piece of fruit, not a slice of bread, not a handful of crackers, not a bowl of cereal. Carbohydrates eaten entirely by themselves hit your bloodstream way too fast. The sugar rises sharply, your insulin surges heavily, and your body's nerve repair shuts down completely. But when those exact same carbohydrates are eaten with a source of protein or healthy fat, the absorption slows down dramatically. The exact same food that actively harms your nerves when eaten alone becomes far safer when eaten correctly. This one simple rule explains why some seniors develop severe, crippling neuropathy, while others simply don't, even with very similar daily diets. It is not always what you eat, it is exactly how you eat it. Let me give you a real example from my clinic. A man named James, 74 years old, came to see me because his legs felt heavy, weak, and terribly unsteady by the early afternoon. He had burning feet every night and numb toes all day long. He truly believed he was eating a very clean diet. Every single morning he drank a large fruit smoothie with a banana, mango, orange juice, and low-fat yogurt. What poor James didn't realize was that all that liquid sugar hit his bloodstream before his muscles and his nerves had any physical protection at all. We immediately removed the morning smoothie. We replaced it with whole eggs and vegetables for breakfast. We moved a much smaller portion of whole fruit to later in the day, strictly eaten only after a full meal. Within a few weeks, his severe nerve pain eased up. His physical balance improved noticeably. His daily energy lasted much longer. Nothing magical or expensive happened. We simply stopped poisoning his nerves every morning. The second major step you must take is eliminating liquid sugar entirely from your house. No fruit juice, no sweetened tea or coffee drinks, no more smoothies. Even 100% natural organic juice is just pure sugar without the protective fiber. Natural fiber is exactly what slows the absorption and protects your fragile nerves. Without it, the sugar hits your blood fast and hard. Seniors often drink juice because it is easy to swallow, gentle on the stomach, and highly recommended by old diet books. Unfortunately, it is one of the absolute fastest ways to worsen your neuropathy. If you want to enjoy fruit, eat it whole in very small portions, and never, ever eat it on an empty stomach. Eating fruit immediately after a meal with protein is far safer than eating fruit by itself as a mid-afternoon snack. This one simple change alone can dramatically reduce your daily nerve irritation. The third step is nutrient protection, and this is absolutely critical. Your nerves require very specific nutrients to maintain their delicate structure and function. Chief among them is vitamin B12. As I mentioned earlier, B12 is essential for maintaining the protective coating around your nerves called myelin. Without enough B12, your nerves become exposed, fragile, and they misfire. Many seniors are deeply deficient in B12 without having any idea, especially those taking daily acid blockers for heartburn or certain other medications. But B12 is not the only nutrient your nerves depend on to survive. Magnesium strongly supports nerve signaling and drastically reduces painful cramping and twitching in your legs. Folate works closely alongside B12 to protect your nerve tissue. Alpha-lipoic acid helps heavily reduce the oxidative stress inside the nerves and has been shown to visibly improve neuropathy symptoms in many people. These nutrients do not magically cure permanent nerve damage, but they heavily help stabilize and protect whatever healthy tissue remains. Now, here is an extremely important medical caution. More is absolutely not better. Some vitamins, especially vitamin B6 in high doses, can actually severely worsen your nerve damage if taken incorrectly. I see this happen a lot. This is exactly why blood testing and proper medical guidance matter. Guessing with your supplements can be very harmful. The fourth step is actively reducing your chronic inflammation. Systemic inflammation heavily sensitizes your nerves and completely amplifies the pain signals sent to your brain. It turns a mild, annoying nerve irritation into a severe burning or stabbing pain that keeps you awake. Highly processed boxed foods, refined industrial seed oils, and excessive daily sugar all heavily fuel this internal inflammation. On the other hand, eating foods like fatty fish, extra virgin olive oil, fresh vegetables, and spices such as turmeric actively help calm those inflammatory pathways down. Less inflammation means much quieter, happier nerves. The fifth step is physical movement. But please listen to me. It is not the kind of movement most people fear. You absolutely do not need intense, sweaty exercise to protect your nerves. In fact, extreme exercise can sometimes worsen your symptoms. What your starving nerves desperately need is gentle circulation. Taking a gentle 10-minute walk, especially right after your meals, heavily helps lower your blood sugar spikes and vastly improves the physical blood flow deep into your nerve tissue. Even just 10 minutes can make a massive difference. Movement truly is medicine when it is done correctly. At this point, I want to address something very important. Many of my senior patients feel deeply discouraged when they hear that nerve damage is very slow to heal. I understand that. That is true. Nerves regenerate incredibly slowly, if they regenerate at all. But I need you to know that stopping the progression of the disease is just as powerful as reversing the damage. Having less pain, getting better sleep, having improved balance, suffering fewer dangerous falls, those changes matter deeply to your life. One of the most harmful, toxic beliefs seniors are given by the medical system is that absolutely nothing can be done for them. That belief itself becomes incredibly dangerous. I have seen people give up way too early, only to worsen rapidly because the sugar poison was never removed from their diet. Let me share one last story with you. A lovely woman in her early 70s came into my clinic using a heavy cane. She felt incredibly unsteady and was terrified of falling and breaking her hip. Another doctor had coldly told her that her neuropathy was completely permanent. When we worked together to stabilize her blood sugar, correct her B12 nutrient deficiencies, and completely remove liquid sugar from her daily diet, her nerve pain reduced significantly. It reduced enough that she no longer feared walking short distances without her cane. She didn't become completely pain-free, but she regained her physical confidence, and that was absolutely life-changing for her. This brings us to a crucial point. Neuropathy is not just about managing pain. It is about your independence. It is about being able to actually feel the solid ground under your feet. It is about being able to react quickly if you stumble. It is about trusting your own legs again. Once neuropathy progresses too far, your risk of deadly falls rises very sharply. And falls are one of the absolute biggest threats to a senior's health and longevity. That is exactly why timing matters so much. Early nerve damage responds much better than highly advanced damage. That annoying tingling and mild numbness you feel are early warning signs. They are not a final verdict. They are loud signals from your body telling you that something needs to change right now. Now, let me give you a simple, practical way to take full control of this for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Remove all liquid sugar completely from your home. Pair every single carbohydrate you eat with a source of protein or healthy fat. Eat your fruit only after full meals and only in small portions. Walk for just 10 minutes after eating whenever possible. And if you haven't had your vitamin B12 levels checked recently by your doctor, ask for it at your next visit. Do not change any of your prescribed medications on your own, but be highly aware of their potential impact on your nutrients. Observe what happens to your body. Pay close attention to your daily symptoms. Many seniors notice much less burning in their feet at night, vastly improved sleep, and far steadier balance. Even small improvements matter immensely, because they clearly tell you the physical damage is not yet fixed in stone. Here is something I want to say very clearly to you. Anyone on the internet promising you a fast miracle cure for neuropathy is simply not being honest with you. But any doctor telling you that absolutely nothing can be done is also completely wrong. There is a very wide, hopeful space in between those two extremes, and that is exactly where real, tangible progress lives. Neuropathy is very often the tragic result of years of quiet, silent damage. It makes total sense that real improvement takes time, but stopping the poison is always the most important first step. I want to thank you for listening today. I beg you, don't ignore what your body is telling you. If this helped you, please leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to Vital After 60. Share this with someone you love who might be suffering in silence. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.